Is the ACC going the way of the Pac-12? And if it does, could several schools end up landing in the Big 12 conference and jump on that life raft offered by the Big 12? Well, many think that will happen. We've heard names like Louisville. We've heard names like Virginia Tech, Pitt, Miami even. One name that seems to be coming up a little more lately is the Duke Blue Devils. We're going to talk about the Duke Blue Devils, why their name's coming up, and if I think they are a good fit for the conference. And we're going to do that right after this word, our sponsor. Ladies and gentlemen, this episode is brought to you by Dutch Miller Automotive, where friends and family pricing means you get the best deal right up front on any new or pre-loved vehicle in stock every time. With brands like Chevrolet, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Kia, Hyundai, Ford, GMC, Buick, and Subaru, the Dutch Miller Automotive family is always growing and ready to put you in the car or truck you've been searching for. Check out our inventory across West Virginia at DutchMillerAuto.com or come in today to the home of friends and family pricing, only at a Dutch Miller Automotive store near you. What is up? Welcome in. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Couz's Corner. Belly yourself up to the bar and let me pour you out a shot of top shelf college football content. This video is a partnership between Couz's Corner and the College Football Mafia Network. I'd like to thank those guys over at College Football Mafia for allowing me to be a part of their awesome team. Now, let's get into the video today. On tap today, we're talking about the Duke Blue Devils and whether or not they are a fit in the Big 12 and why their name's even coming up. Well, first of all, we all know that Brett Yormark loves his basketball. We know that there's been a lot of talk about him strengthening the league in basketball to try to use that as a way to differentiate the Big 12 from other leagues. The Big 12 is already known by around the country, at least by many analysts, to be the strongest conference in college basketball. And he wants to capitalize on that by adding teams like a Gonzaga potentially, or maybe a UConn. And now Duke, with the ACC issues, Duke's name keeps popping up. Would Duke be a legit fit in the Big 12? And that's what we're here to talk about today. So, first thing I'm going to do is play you a video that from Greg Pflugar, one of his recent episodes, where Duke is mentioned. He reads an article from the Star-Telegram written by Mr. Mac Engel, and I'm going to play a clip from this video for you, and then we're going to talk about it.
The Big 12 leaning more into basketball means it will prioritize the schools that make that sport its priority among the remaining ACC teams when that league crumbles. When Clemson and Florida State leave, according to people familiar with these hypothetical conversations, Duke, Virginia Tech, North Carolina State, Pittsburgh, Louisville, Miami are in the conversation of the Big 12's potential wish list. The early thought on the ACC's breakup has Virginia, North Carolina headed to the Big 10 at least. Clemson and Florida State march to the SEC, as you know, peek around the corner, does not have that scenario. However, back to the article. These scenarios are awash in challenges, both monetarily and politically. With Arizona and Kansas, adding Duke would give the Big 12 three of the top brands in basketball. Throw in the league member Houston, and that's a potential Final Four. The Big 12 had previously flirted with basketball power Gonzaga University. That potential union never moved beyond the conversation phase, primarily because of football. The Zags don't have a football team. Duke's football program will never be known as USC's East, but the Blue Devils have made 8 bowl games since 2012. Historically, it's a challenge when one or few schools don't have football, but the remaining league members do. It was a challenge in the old Big East before that league executed a reimagined version of itself where football isn't part of the equation. The only Big East member with an FBS football program is UConn, which plays as an independent. Even without football, the 11-team Big East has proven that a league can survive and thrive in the current landscape of college athletics where all the money is driven from the gridiron. The league, the Big East, is swimming quite nicely. The wrinkle to this is for the Big 12 is football. The Big East is doing well with men's basketball because nearly all the available resources from the respective member institutions of those athletic departments in the Big East, that it goes to the sport of basketball. The majority of the NIL collective money at that Marquette goes to basketball. Same for Creighton, same for UConn, St. John's, and the rest. At the Big 12 schools, if football isn't first, it's close. And that includes Kansas. The Big 12's future is about the leagues creating a product that has enough value that a future media rights deal keeps it within a binoculars view of the SEC and the Big Ten. As much as college basketball has changed over the years, and its lack of familiar faces for fans hurts the marketability of the product, it has value. It does. Not like football, but it does have value. The Big 12 is betting on the game and itself. On a chessboard that is now run by the Big 10 and the SEC, this may be the Big 12's best move to ensure it avoids checkmate.
So first off, before we get to the next portion of the video, let me know in the comments section what you think. Does Duke coming into the league and the Big 12 focusing on basketball help keep the Big 12 within a binoculars view of the Big 10 and the SEC? I want your thoughts. Now, back to Duke specifically. I wanted to determine for myself, by putting it on paper, does Duke fit in the Big 12? So what I did is I put together a spreadsheet that I like to do, and I looked at and I compared Duke to the Big 12 in pretty much all 5 categories that are, the focus when realignment discussions are happening. So let's go ahead and look at that right now. All right, when you look at Duke versus the Big 12, first off, the things you look at are brand value, athletic success, academics, rivalries, and geographic fit. That's the 5 categories that commissioners typically look at, or at least Brett Yormark typically looks at when he's looking at teams to add. So first, when you look at athletic success, the thing I like to look at is blue blood ranking. Now, in the blue blood ranking, Duke ranks number 67. Now, this is based on football. We also know Duke's not known for its football. So, obviously, that's going to be below the Big 12 median of 50. And again, for those of you who haven't seen past videos like this, I use the Big 12 median because the median to me gives you a better look than average, because when you look at average, if you have one team that's way above the others or way below the others, it can skew the numbers. By looking at the median, which is the middle number, it gives you a better indication of where the league is, in my opinion. So the Big 12 does fare better than Duke when it comes to blue blood ranking or athletic success when it comes to football. But we all know, like Greg mentioned in his video, like Mac Engel mentioned in the article, basketball is where Duke makes its hay. Now, when you look at academics, Duke is by far superior than the Big 12. They are the 7th ranked national university in the country, according to U.S. News and World Report. The Big 12 median is 120. The next closest school to Duke in this ranking, Baylor, who's at number 93. So, again, Duke's off the scale when it comes to the Big 12 and academics in a good way. When it comes to brand value, the way I like to look at brand value for this exercise is TV viewership numbers. Duke surprisingly did pretty well in this category in 2023. According to Sportsnaut, an article they did looking at TV viewership of all college football programs, or all Power 5 conference football programs anyway, in 2023, Duke was actually in the top 25 in this category and averaged 2.64 million viewers per week. I did not see that coming. Now, I didn't go back and look at Duke's schedule for lack of time to see, did they play Notre Dame? Did that skew their numbers or whatever? But still, 2.64 is a good number. And much better than the Big 12 median of 1.31 million per week. Rivalries, there are none for Duke in the league. Obviously, for obvious reasons. The closest team to them geographically would be UCF. West Virginia would be within a 6-hour drive, 7 maybe. With these numbers in mind, do I think Duke is a good fit for the Big 12? And my answer is flat out no. The reason, and I thought a lot. I used to think they would be, and I thought a lot about it. Yes, they bring great basketball to the table. Their football has gotten a lot better over the years. I'll give them that. They, like the article said, they've made several bowl games in the last few years, in the last several years. I think eight out of the 12 years they've made bowl games, I think is what the article said. But I do like what Duke's done in football. However, I still don't think they're and the reason I say that, I think it's more culturally. Duke is one of those academic elite institutions. And they may put academics a lot higher in priority than what a lot of Big 12 schools do. It doesn't mean they don't take academics seriously in the Big 12. It doesn't mean they're not good schools. It's just they have different missions as a university. Like, for example, the one I can speak to because I know about is West Virginia. Their mission is to educate as many people in the Appalachian region, specifically the state of West Virginia, as possible. So it's an easier school to get into. They admit a lot of students who don't make it, who end up dropping out or not graduating. So that hurts their ratings when it comes to U.S. News and World Report and others. Duke has a very, very strict standards to get in. It's hard to get into a school like Duke. Therefore, most students graduate. It's just a different ballgame, you know? So, and I just don't think they're a cultural fit. I really don't. When you have schools that are that academically focused, now I know Vanderbilt's made it work in the SEC. I get that, and I understand, but Vanderbilt is one of the founding members of the SEC, so it's a little different in my opinion. I just think bringing Duke in, I think you're at risk of bringing in a school that's not going to have the same vision as the other schools, not going to have the same mission as the other schools. And let's just face it, they may not take football as seriously as the other schools. And I'm not sure that's a school you want in the conference. I really don't. And it's also got me, you know, I've been for UConn joining the league for quite a while. I'm now starting to change my mind on that as well. I'm just not sure, especially, you know, if they don't start spending more money and more focus on football. So anyway, I think if the ACC is going to collapse, I think you're better off getting schools like NC State, Virginia Tech, Pitt, Louisville, if you can get them, obviously. Now, if you don't have any other options and Duke's available, you probably have to get them. You know, I don't think you can turn them away. But if you have other options, I think you take those other options. And again, no offense to Duke. It's obviously a wonderful school. But I just think culturally they're not going to fit. They're going to have a different vision than the rest of the schools in the conference. But I want to hear what you think. Do you think I'm out of my mind here for not wanting Duke in the conference? Would the Big 12 be turning down a great opportunity if that were the case? This was a members-only video for the first couple of weeks. If you want to become a member and get early access to some future videos and even access to some members-only videos that are members-only permanently, then you need to become a VIP member. There are also other perks that go along with it. Hit the join button below or go to my channel homepage. Hit the join button there that's right beside my profile photo. It'll show you the 2 levels that are available, the perks that go with each level. And again, I have added in members-only videos to those perks. You can also check out this video right here if you want to watch it. If you haven't seen it yet, that covers conference realignment and a look at Miami and how they would fit in the Big 12. I appreciate you watching this video, and Q Country Roads.